Large families in today's society are all too few, but today you're in for a treat. We're going to talk with women who advocate for large families, and we'll talk to a couple who have 11 children. Stay with us, you won't want to miss this. Jenn Giroux is the founder of Speaking of Motherhood, a group comprised of 6 women. They travel across the country and share their testimonies of family and motherhood on college campuses, at women's conferences, and even in high schools. Jenn is a registered nurse and mother of 9 children who sees her role as mom her crowning achievement. The group shares with women a countercultural view of motherhood. Jenn, how did this group come together?
You know, this came together just as kind of an answer to what I thought was missing out there. As a registered nurse and a mother associated with a lot of other parents and parents of young girls, it seemed like the message out there that was going to young women and young couples was only have 2 children. You know, it's too hard, too big of a sacrifice, don't you want more for you? And so I realized that a picture speaks 1,000 words. So in hearing the beautiful stories from the ladies that are here in this group and a few others that join us, I realized that we need to go out there and show the other side, which is the beauty and love and the respect of the greatest profession on earth, which is motherhood. That there is another side to the story in order to just one by one get us back to a country that loves children again and is willing to have more.
Darla, what would you say the goals are of Speaking of Motherhood?
I think the goal of our group is to reinvent who we are as mothers and as parents. I think it's the most important vocation, occupation, however you want to look at it, but we, not only do we love it, we want to celebrate it and share it.
Our whole purpose is to try to present a countercultural message to young women that, you know, you can still do a lot of everything that you ever want to do and have children. It doesn't have to be one or the other, which I think is presented to young career girls nowadays, is you can't have a career, you can't work and still be a mom. We talk about why we said yes to God and decided to remain open to His gifts. And we talk about our challenges. I talk a lot about my challenges, because I think we would do an undue service to anybody that listened to us if we said it was easy. It is not easy. A big part of my story is the fact that my 7th child is deaf and autistic, and didn't expect that at all, whoever does. And it's a real challenge. But you know, my husband is always just great at reminding me that my daughter Mary, Claire is her name, she is an example to us of what God wants us to be to Him, which is completely trustful on us for all of her needs. Time and again, I've had doctors, she's always having her challenges in the hospital, say to me, she's really, really lucky she's from a big family, because she's in the middle of the pack of our 5 little ones, and they just take her along with her, you know? And so that's always kind of been an affirmation to me, and just a further explanation of how siblings provide such a foundation to each other, not just us, but to each other, and all the life skills.
In a moment, we'll hear the powerful testimonies from 3 of the mothers.
Look around you. We're surrounded by people who courageously face difficult obstacles life has thrown in their paths. Tune in each week to meet people who show there are positive, godly solutions to tough, critical situations. This Emmy Award-winning show tackles challenging life issues such as abortion, stem cell research, and adoption, and shows every human life is valuable and precious. Join us for inspiring stories of people facing life head-on.
Maryanne D St Aubyn is the mother of 4 children and 4 granddaughters. To alleviate a busy schedule with working part-time and raising children, Maryanne made a decision she thought would make life easier. But it was a decision she soon came to regret.
I think the reason I want to be a part of this group is that I want to spare other women some of the decisions that I made and in the pain and regret that I had. I had two babies close together, and then my 3rd child, we weren't planning. and it was a shock, and I felt overwhelmed. And so after she was born, I had my tubes tied. And I thought that was going to give me freedom, and it was going to control everything, and I could have the control I thought I wanted. But instead, it brought me pain and regret. I had a desire to have more children. I realized that one of the reasons that I had my tubes tied was I thought, like the world's message seems to be, 2 children is enough, and I wanted to provide nice things for them materially, and I realized that there wasn't a single material item I could give my first 2 daughters that could even be close to a new sister. I just was mourning the loss of my fertility, and I don't think I'm alone. I think there's other women that have experienced this, and the Lord really brought my husband and I on a journey through this, and I ended up having a reversal. A beautiful story. And I was blessed with a son after 3 daughters, and I felt like the Lord was just giving me this, I mean, I would have taken a daughter gladly, but then he gave us a son. But the joy and the fulfillment as a woman, I realized through all of this that I'm created to be a mother and a nurturer, and that's what's fulfilling for me. And it's not always easy, and it's difficult, but anything that's really good in this life is difficult, and it takes a lot of work. But that's where all the joy and happiness come from.
Nancy Findlay is another member of the Speaking of Motherhood group. She and her husband Mark were missionaries in Canada before settling down in Cincinnati, Ohio to start a family. The Findlays have 11 children ranging from 3 to 26 years old. One of the most popular reasons Nancy hears for people not having big families is they don't have enough money. But when I sat down with Mark and Nancy in their busy home, they quickly refuted that concern.
A lot of people say, well, we can't have kids because of money. You know, we don't have enough money. I said, you know, Mark and I, we did missionary work for 4 years. And then, you know, he was a teacher, and then...
That'll build a big nest egg, won't it?
Yeah. And we had our first 2 kids when we were doing the missionary work. So we've never had money, really, if, you know, enough money to have a baby. We've never had that. So we've just trusted, and there were times that it was a rocky, but it's worked. I mean, we've been married 27 years, and we've had lots of fun. We've gone on camping vacations, so we've camped and had vacations, and there's 47 grandkids on my side of the family. I have another sister with 11 kids, and I have sisters and brother with 6 kids, and so there's a lot. I mean, our kids have not missed out on anything in life, really. I don't think. They've had more than a lot of kids have had because of all this family around them.
Darla Wainscott's journey to having 3 children was one marked with sadness and obstacles. As a former accountant, she always liked to plan and be in control. But during her first pregnancy, she learned not all plans go according to plan.
When my husband and I were married, we wanted many children. And it's probably, I always say this, but it's probably why I like these guys the most, because they have such large families. And I always thought, someone would ask me how many kids I wanted to have, and I would say, 12, 13. I just really, truly, in my heart, wanted a bunch. What happened is my first pregnancy, I was 37 weeks pregnant, actually 37 and a half weeks pregnant on Halloween in 1996. And I went in for my routine office visit, and they did not detect any heart tones on my baby. And so I delivered her stillborn. When the nurse handed me the baby, my baby who had no life, she put the baby in my arms, and I said, and I don't know how this even came out of my mouth at that time, but I said, if God only gave me the chance, I would do this all over again. And I truly would have. And I went on to have 3 more children. And in between there, I had 2 miscarriages, but still just knowing and wanting 12 and ending up with 3 on earth, you know, maybe to some people doesn't seem quite fair, but to me, when I look at them, they're absolutely everything the other side of this as well is that I actually, after I had my last baby, who she's 7 now, and after that they had found some abnormalities in my uterus, and I ended up having a hysterectomy shortly after that. So when you look at your life, things are going to happen, and you're going to realize that this is what God wanted for me. I can't begrudge not having 12, and I think it's a beautiful thing when you've allowed yourself to be open to His plan, and He gives you what you can handle.
When we return, we'll hear how the media and the feminist movement have contributed to the way today's society views motherhood.
Whether you're a student needing answers, a parent needing help, or a concerned citizen wanting to make a difference, Life Issues Institute has the resources you need to put your values into action. Life Issues Institute is an international educational organization committed to protecting innocent human life. Life Issues Institute knows what it takes. That's why millions throughout the world turn here for help. Life Issues Institute has authored more pro-life publications than any other entity in the world, and its materials are printed in over 30 languages. Radio broadcasts, newsletters, and a website filled to the brim with the answers you're looking for are just a click away. Go to facinglife.tv and click on the link to Life Issues Institute to find out more about how you can change the heart of a nation.
Christina Fiore always knew she wanted a big family, and her wish was granted by being blessed with 9 children. But if her doctors would have had any say in the matter, she would have only been a mother of 3. While pregnant with her 3rd son, a life-threatening medical problem arose that threatened to end her dreams of having a large family.
I was rushed to the hospital with an abruption, and I had my last rites and had a 50-50 chance of myself and my son making it through the surgery. And we came out very, fine, but they wanted to tie my tubes on the table, and I was like, no. I knew in my heart that God, I had this peace that He was going to take care of me, and that I had this strong desire to have a lot of children. And I just knew if I placed my trust in Him that everything would be okay, and we came out okay. And then 2 months later, I went in for my postpartum check, and I was pregnant again. And of course I was shocked, and they immediately took me in to see the doctor, and he said, you have to terminate. You're gonna lose your baby within the first 3 months because of what you went through with your last pregnancy, and then you probably, with that abruption, would also lose your own life. And I looked at him and I said, that's not an option for me. I was scared. It was very scary for a doctor to sit there and tell you this. And, so I was shocked. Number one, I was pregnant. And then I thought I was, possibly could die. But I had that faith, and I knew He was going to take care of me. And it happened to be, the most beautiful pregnancy I ever had.
So how many children did you have after this medical emergency?
I had 6 more children after that. So, and they had told me I couldn't have any more than the 3rd. Just so you know, that doctor that had told me to terminate, he was the doctor that happened to deliver my 4th son. And because I had asked him, I told him I didn't want him to, I was going to go find another physician. And on the floor that night at midnight was that doctor. And he said, you're a miracle woman. And he said, I'm the only doctor here, but I can get another one if you want. And I said, no, that's fine. Let's do this. And it changed his life. He said that he was now a believer, and he wasn't totally, just all about medicine. He said, you've made me a believer. I was agnostic, and now I'm a believer.
Do you think motherhood gets the respect that it deserves?
I don't think mothers get the respect that I think that they deserve. It's very evident out in society that if you're not a career woman and there is a kind of, you feel that people look down on you. And you have to be strong, you have to be really convicted as a mother to believe in your heart that what you're doing matters, because day to day it doesn't feel like that. It's not a glamorous job.
It can be a kick in the teeth, can't it?
Right. I mean, after a long day of exhaustion, there's no coffee break or any, reward. There's no paycheck. There's no. But I feel that there is, when as your children grow, you see the reward, and the reward comes later, and you kind of reap the benefit. It's one of those things, you reap the benefit later, and your children appreciate, hopefully. And in the end, they always say, when you're on your deathbed, you're not going to regret how much money you had in the bank, and you're going to want all your beautiful children standing around, and that's what it's all worth. That's what matters, right?
There has been a huge campaign in the media for 50 years to women, and it's been a big lie. And what we're trying to do is expose the lie and share the dream of having children. Because I talk to so many young moms who, time and again, the same story. I'm so overwhelmed. I'm working, 8 hours a day, taking the kids to daycare. I come home, I have a full-time job at night, and my husband expects me to do both. Something is out of balance here when it comes to what we're expecting of women. Women have been cheated by the feminist movement, to be very blunt. And now the fallout is here. And you would be amazed how many young girls come up to us and say, now my kids would dispute this, but they say, you're so normal. And we laugh because they want so much to believe that you can have children, and you can be fun, and you can exercise and have personality. And they want to have that. They want to have it all. And I know no one can have it all, but truly, if you look what the media is telling them, you have, how many women stay at home and love their motherhood on TV? The majority and overwhelming of commercials that target young audiences, college audiences, and the TV that they watch is the best form of birth control for them to use. It is tragic. And, are we going to change the world with our story? No, but we can change one heart at a time by explaining and simply telling the truth. And we share our difficulties, that is to be sure. But what's important to realize is that the most respectable and most amazing profession on earth is motherhood. And it is not looked at as that. The most difficult thing for me to hear is for a woman to say, I'm just a mom. I say, you're just a mom. You are a mom. You are a mom. And the hand that rocks the cradle truly does rule the world.
Do you think that the feminist movement has degraded motherhood in any way?
Yes, that's where we've been fed a lot of misinformation. The whole idea that, first we want to separate our ability to have children from the equation. So that's who we are as women. That's part of who we are physically. And it's a good thing, not a bad thing. And so, but we're trying to level the playing field, right? Make everybody the exact same, and so that there's nothing, it won't affect us in work, and it won't do this. So we have to cut that whole ability out. And again, I say, it leaves women barren.
But I think that these young women in high school or in college we're fed this diet of secularism and humanism, and that families aren't put up on a high pedestal, and so when women hear this, they're like, why didn't someone tell me about this?
The amount of pain that women are carrying around and concealing and hiding from the world as they shoulder it themselves is so sad. And so many women hear Maryanne's story, or hear Kristina's story, or Darla's, or mine, and they come up and they sob. And they say, I never told anybody I had my tubes tied, but I experienced that same regret. Or, this happened to me. So what we have been just blown away by and humbled by is how it's somehow hearing our stories, it's healing other women to speak about their stories. We tell them in our talks, we're not here to judge anybody, and we're certainly not here to say we're the perfect moms or perfect wives. But one thing we do want to do is we want to try and spread the truth so that the younger generation doesn't repeat the mistakes of our generation.
Coming up, we'll hear advice for couples who are open to larger families but may be intimidated by standards in today's society.
Look around you. Every day, heroes abound in our country. We're surrounded by people who courageously face difficult obstacles life has thrown in their paths. Tune in each week to meet people who show there are positive, godly solutions to tough, critical situations. We'll tackle challenging life issues such as abortion, stem cell research, adoption, and abstinence, and show that every human life is valuable and precious. Join us for inspiring stories of people facing life head-on.
There's no question respect for motherhood and family has been devalued in today's culture. It's an intimidating status quo for couples who are open to the possibility of having more children. The women of Speaking of Motherhood offer sage advice when it comes to choosing a personal family plan and finding a support system that offers encouragement.
I think you need to get in a circle, whether it's through church or, of other people who are like-minded and faith-wise, and also in thinking that children and families are a gift.
I meet so many young women, even my nieces that are older now that are getting married, and they're like, well, we're gonna wait for 5-6 years, and we're gonna do all this fun stuff, and then we're gonna make sure we get